Ares Capital is scheduled to report first quarter earnings on Tuesday, April 29th before the market opens. For Ares Capital, in the previous quarter, they reported revenue of $750 million. They missed by $28.5 million. They reported 55 cents per share in earnings, missing by 3 cents. For this quarter, they're expected to report $769.95 million, and their earnings per share is estimated to be 54 cents. Over the last 90 days, no analysts have raised estimates and 8 analysts lowered estimates. Ares Capital meets or beats analysts' 1-year forward estimates 91% of the time. When looking at the Ares Capital price chart, I want to draw your attention to a couple areas where we had a high close on February the 4th and the most recent close on April the 8th. And another important level is this one here on March the 13th. So we are down from the most recent high to this point on April the 8th. We were down 18.77%. The price has recovered about 11.63% from that low, now just sitting 9.32% below the high. So the price has recovered about 50% of that range. We can also see that after the tariff announcements, ARCC declined with other equities to these lows. Since then, we have recovered back, so that is positive news in my mind. ARCC is currently trading above its 5-day moving average. It's also trading above the 20-day moving average, the 200-day moving average, and we have some resistance here at the 50-day moving average that we'll need to watch. We can see that the RSI is improving, currently sitting above the midpoint at 52.19. Looking at the PPO, we can see that it's operating in negative territory, but we did have the momentum cross above the signal line a few days ago, indicating positive price improvement. We can see that the relative strength compared to the SPX is slightly underperforming the SPX. The momentum is about equal with the SPX at the moment. We can also see that accumulation was pretty flat for the early part of the last year, but we have seen an improvement in accumulation since the beginning of 2025. We can see we have positive money flow. When we compare the relative price performance to the SPY, we can see that it's outperformed the SPY. It has outperformed the financial sector, but it is slightly underperforming its industry. When we look at the 5-year weekly trend chart, we can see that ARCC has been in good performance over the long term. For the short term, it's predominantly been in positive performance over the last year or 2 years. We have moved into a little bit of a downtrend in the midterm. And for the short term, we can see that we were a little bit underwater, but we have moved back positive for the short-term trend. When we look at the key metrics for ARCC, we can see that they're trading at a slight discount compared to the sector. ARCC trades at a 9.8 times forward PE compared to the sector at 10.34. Looking at growth rates, we can see that the EPS growth rate is expected to decline 3.56% compared to the sector at 9.11%. And the revenue growth, ARCC is expected to grow their revenue 8.55% compared to the sector at 6.21%. Then when we look at profitability, we can see that ARCC is more profitable than their sector at a 50.9% net margin compared to the sector at 22.77%. When looking at fast graphs, we can see that ARCC is trading in a 9.29 times blended PE. They have an EPS yield of 10.77% and a dividend yield of 9.1%. Over the last 13 years, which represents 10 years of actual earnings and 3 years forward, we can see that ARCC has grown their adjusted operating earnings growth rate by 2.31% over this time period. Their fair value is calculated by fast graphs to be 13.13, and their normal PE is 9.7. We can see that their earnings declined in 2024 and are expected, according to the analysts, to continue to decline over the next 3 years. If we start from their current trading price, if they continue to trade at their blended PE, that we would have a total annual return over the next year of 2.05%, mostly from the dividends. If we look at the current price and compare it to its normal PE, then we would be up around 13.68 for a total annualized return over the next year. I want to thank you for watching and hope the earnings preview was helpful. Talk to you again soon. Have a great day. Thank you and trade well.